Hey there folks, Grant Armour with the Outdoor Rec School of Three Rivers here. I'm getting ready to go for a paddle and I just want to take some time to talk about how to be safe getting out on the water this time of year. There's a few things that I want to do before I even leave the parking lot. First one's going to be making sure that I'm sending off a float plan to somebody who's not here with me, that's saying where I am, where I'm going, when I plan to be back, just so that if I don't get off the water by the time I'm expecting to be off the water, someone knows to call for help. Next thing I want to do is make sure I'm wearing the right clothes. I know air temperatures are starting to get pretty warm, but that water is still quite cold. And then I also want to make sure I'm getting my life jacket on, ready to go. Here's going to be a few more things to get ourselves set up. So I got my float plan written up. It's ready to go. I just sent it off to my folks. They're great at being responsible, keeping an eye on the time, keeping an eye out for when I send them float plans. I always make sure they respond before I assume that they've gotten it. But this is what my float plan looks like. You'll see there's a lot of information on there. What that's really meant to do is that if something goes wrong, if I'm not off the water by that time I said I would be, 7:30 in there, I gave myself a 15-minute leeway before they're gonna call emergency services and let them know, hey, he's missing, he's not here, he was supposed to be off the water, we haven't heard from him yet. Make sure you're setting yourself up for success. Don't let your phone run out of battery, don't drop your phone in the lake. Well, we don't want people accidentally calling 911, but we do wanna make sure that you're safe and that if something goes wrong, someone knows where you are so they can come look for you. All right, so this is not something that I normally do, bring a thermometer out and actually take the water temperature, but because I am talking to you about being safe today, I'm gonna take a reading. And the reason I'm taking the water temperature is, even though the air temperature is getting warm enough that earlier this week I was comfortable in a t-shirt, I wanna make sure that I'm prepared for the possibility of my boat tipping over. And so I wanna make sure that the air temperature plus the water temperature are at least 120 degrees before I think about paddling without a wetsuit or a dry suit. A wetsuit's gonna provide a little bit less insulation, but still a lot of good insulation and is relatively cheap. So right now I'm getting a reading about 45 degrees on this water temperature. That's not a great reading on what the water temperature actually is because I'm measuring it near the surface and near the shore, but I'm gonna make sure that because it's 45 degrees, air temperature today is about 55 degrees. That combines to 100 degrees. So I need to make sure I'm wearing at least a wetsuit today. I'm also gonna put on a dry top because it's a little chilly, a little windy. I wanna make sure that if I accidentally were to tip over, I'm not gonna find myself in a land of hypothermia. All right, so I'm about halfway dressed to go paddling here. I just want to show you where we're at. I have got on synthetic base layers. I could use wool as well, but I want to make sure I'm not wearing cotton. Then I got my 3mm neoprene wetsuit on. This one is a tank top on top, pants on the bottom. All right, I am dressed and ready to go. I've got on a couple things that are advanced paddling equipment, like this dry top, which keeps watertight seals at my neck and wrists out. I've also got on a spray skirt, which gives me a watertight seal around my boat. Those are advanced. You probably won't use those, similar to my knife, my tow belt, etc. But the things that everyone should have with them, some sort of sun protection. I got on my hat, my sunglasses, a little sunscreen, and most importantly is a life jacket, a personal flotation device. Now, Minnesota state law requires that we all have one of these with us when we're on the water, but wearing one is what's gonna really keep you safe. Just having one with you is kind of like being in a car with seatbelts, but not wearing that seatbelt. We never plan on getting in a car crash, but it does happen. Similarly, we never plan on tipping our boats, but that does happen as well. We especially want to make sure we're wearing life jackets early in the season because that water is still really cold. If I fall into that water, the body's automatic response to cold water is to take a big gasp. If that happens while I'm underwater and I end up getting some water in my lungs, that changes the buoyancy of my body. I'm also now in a pretty compromised health state, and it's pretty easy for me to then at that point sink. So I want to make sure that I'm wearing this. I've done drills where I've tried putting on a life jacket in the water in a controlled environment. It's very hard to do. If you're doing it in an emergency, it's going to be super hard. So please, especially early season, but all the time when you're paddling, wear that life jacket. Go beyond having it with you. I'm going to show you my boat, show you a little bit of the stuff I have with me, and then we're going to hit the water. So my boat is ready to go here. I have got a spare paddle on my back deck. I'm also carrying a paddle float, which is that yellow thing, and a stirrup, which are rescue assist tools. My main paddle, there's a sponge in there. I've got a throw rope in case I need to rescue anyone, some water for myself, and very importantly, a bilge pump to get the water out of my boat if I tip. Additionally, that blue bag is a dry bag filled with some warm clothes so that if I find myself in a situation where I need to manage my own temperature, I'm going to have that with me. Now, I want to make sure that the hatch cover that's underneath that blue bag and the one in the back are both tightly sealed because integrated flotation, the ability of the boat to stay floating even if it tips over, and the main cockpit fills with water, that's what's going to keep us safe out there and allow us to actually do a self-rescue. All right, so it is time for me to go paddling. I'm going to head down to the water now, but I mentioned self-rescue a moment ago, and what that is are there a bunch of techniques to get myself safely back out of the water. Now, if you haven't practiced deep water self-rescues and you're not feeling very confident in those, it's really important to stay close to shore so that we make sure that if we have an accidental tip, we can swim to shore, get ourselves safely back on land. But we're not going there, we're heading to the water. Right here at the boat ramp, we've got this awesome sign, Boaters. The law requires a Coast Guard approved flotation device for each person. Your watercraft must be licensed, and if after sunset, you must have navigational lights. And then this is that common sense. Pay attention to the weather. Alcohol makes things dangerous. Tell someone where you're going. That's that float plan that we talked about. And wear your personal flotation device, especially if the water's cold. That one's put out by the DNR, one of our awesome partners here at the Park District. Almost there. One more thing we can do to keep ourselves nice and safe while we're paddling is paddle with a partner. To practice social distancing, I got ahead and got down here on the water ahead of my partner, but my partner is joining me just now. She's currently putting in, making sure we're giving room for 6 feet for each other and the other people who are here at the fishing pier or fishing off the dock that we are launching from. So, as with all of our outdoor rec activities, prior proper planning prevents poor performance. So, I've done a lot of planning, I've done a lot of preparation. I'm here on the water and I'm ready to go. I hope to see you all safely out on the water, whether that means you're heading out soon because you've got the right equipment, right plans, right skills, or wait until later this summer when things are a little bit warmer, consequences are a little bit lower if we have an accident. See you all soon.